You are watching Xirtus.
So what's going on with graphene? I think NASA is all about what's happening on Earth. I don't think it has
Absolutely.
anything to do with space.
Right, yeah, it's so funny that they use all these stories. I mean, like Velcro comes from NASA, right? And there's the best alien conspiracy there is, in my opinion. I think it's the cutest anyway. Is that when they showed up at Roswell, the dudes got their like military suits stuck to the side of the ship and their shoes stuck. Like, what's going on? Oh, what is this stuff? And they realize the whole ship's covered in Velcro, and then that's where it comes from. Because originally Velcro was used to walk around in the space station, supposedly, right? And it's made out of diamonds and it's like carbon steel cable and everything. I mean, the kinds of stuff that they really come up with are really cool,
Yeah, totally. That's why I'm like everything isn't just good or bad. Like having kids now, like my son will be like, "Is that a good guy or bad guy?" I'm like, "They can be both." You know?
Yes, you say
that's
yes.
really the answer for everything. You have a sliding scale of good and evil based on intentions, honesty, all this stuff, but everybody has elements of both or else they wouldn't exist. Like NASA obviously has some value. It's not just to like fuck with us or like,
I mean,
like
most people don't know half of what they need to know what's going on. It's a need to know basis for like everybody.
Yeah, it's very decentralized. So what do you think is really going on in Antarctica?
Well, so I had a friend who was in the military at the McMurdo base, and he was in the Army. He was bringing packages or cargo back and forth, and he told me that they had to drop off something like a ton, like an actual metric tonnage of condoms at McMurdo base. And then he also and he had to bring out all kinds of like just waste products that had to do with sex orgy parties. So I don't know, but I can imagine it does get cold down there, and Californians and people who come to California for school, especially the transplants.
Oh, I swear to God, I think they do sex rituals and stuff. Like, did you know that on the night of the election in 2016, John Kerry went to Antarctica?
No, wow.
Oh yeah, dude. The Pope's done this. The Orthodox guy. Like you'll just look and see that John Kerry on the night of the election in 2016 was in Antarctica for one day and then came back. It's like you wouldn't happen to be, I don't know, orgying.
Yeah, well, that's the other question. So, Admiral Byrd, do you think that there's like a secret government in Antarctica that's like the world government to be or something?
There's something, man. I mean, it's like, so you have the whole world has agreed to not go to Antarctica. You're not allowed to fly over Antarctica. That questions a lot of Earth shape related elements,
right?
Yeah, because because the lie is always where you see everything, where it's like, and I don't know the shape of the Earth. That's the bottom line. Is I know I'm highly dubious of the mainstream, obviously, but I don't know. I can't prove it. I can't do science. They won't let me go to fucking Antarctica.
Right. But, it's like, that's the point.
Yeah. Antarctica is the highest land in the world. You're not allowed to fly any air. Like you go, there's like 50,000 flights a week over the North Pole, 0 over the South Pole. And their reasoning is they say, well, we don't want to disturb the penguins. And it's like, so you can't fly 35,000 feet. And so, and all the nations of the world have all agreed that they have the Antarctic Treaty. We've been through like 8 wars, but the one thing everyone knows, and then all the islands are named like Rothschild Island. And so, and Hitler obviously was down in Antarctica for different stuff, and world leaders go there all the time. And so something's going on there. And I think that they do a lot of, not like Admiral Byrd. I haven't even really looked into that much because there's no way I can verify anything. So I just don't even, I'm like I hear what he says and I'm like, yeah, that's great. But it's just a guy talking. Like what I find fascinating is the mainstream accepted shit about Antarctica, where it's like it's the highest land in the world, which leads people to believe it's like the ring of ice. And also no one's allowed to go outside of one spot. You're not allowed to fly over it. You're not allowed to explore it, and it means no bears. Like Antarctica means the place where there's no bears. And so that's like an interesting synchronicity about me and my people.
I don't trust it. Right. Yeah.
I don't trust it at all. Antarctica without bears. Yeah. It's like,
that's wild. Did you hear someone was telling me yesterday the idea of marsupials being from Antarctica originally, and
really?
So a big thing with the flamenco timeline in Tartaria, it's really easy for people to say this is tens of hundreds of millions of thousands of years old, like this star, blah blah. But it's weird. It's really hard for people to handle the idea that like Mulholland Drive was like a lake and Bakersfield was a lake, and they flipped it around into deserts in parts of California that weren't, and that even in 100 years we it's because so many liars have taken over the climate change position that we can't even look at the few circumstances of truth to that where we actually mess things up. So many things we think of millions of years old are like 1,000 years old or a few hundred.
Like what? Give me an example.
Like the Sahara, right? You've seen Mega Chad
too, yeah.
Right. There's all this evidence. The Tamanrasset River crosses it. There's the Mega Chad, the Mega Congo River, and there's no way it was 100 million years ago. There's clear people talking about it. There's whales, bones, and things. This is within the last 1,000 years, which freaks people out because they don't want to believe that we're or something is causing changes that broadly.
And doesn't it seem intentional, this air desert? Like it just looks like someone's like, "Fuck this,
take that." Yeah,
yeah. Because like when Gaddafi was trying to greenify it, he had all these like giant amount of primal water coming out. And I think that was the main reason they killed him. I think it was way more than the currency thing. I think that it's like the plot of Dune. It's like Arrakis, you know, they're like taking the water back into, because it's all a cycle. Like once you get the water up and the plants start using it, it starts making clouds and raining, and then it cycles itself up. And if you look at the civilizations around there, like they had tons, they obviously had tons of trees to be able to make those stone structures, you know. And so where do they all go? I don't know.
Right. I mean, you know, what do you think about the silicon trees? You know, that idea that there were giant trees that have been cut down.
I mean, I think that Devil's Tower was definitely a tree in my opinion.
I mean, it just, gosh.
I mean, looks, there's no explanation that it wasn't, and it looks exactly like a tree. It's just like, that's a fucking tree, man.
Someone had shown us this Madagascar blockage, which showed not only a mesa that looked kind of like the Devil's Tower tree, but then around it, like leaves that were like almost a quarter mile in different directions and stuff. Kind of like there was a, what do you call it? I'm sorry, a tree's overhang, the
canopy.
Canopy. See, because he's an arborist too. He's an arborist. There you go. I appreciate that. Yeah. So, but speaking of bears, you know, this is probably the biggest argument. Not that we've ever really had a big argument, but how dare you on panda bears? So, you know, I think the difference between, well, let's start with what you believe before I just, you know, what do you believe about panda bears?
I think it's, I think they're like Shih Tzu dogs. I think they're total bull. I don't think they ever existed in nature.
But do you believe that they're men in suits, or do you believe that they've been
genetically? I think they have been men in suits. I think that people that just want a quick profit are like $100 to see a panda bear, you know, get drunk Gary in a suit, retards. But I know there's actual bears, you know, there's actual living animals that are panda bears, but you know, they're not in Chinese literature. They're not in Chinese art. They ovulate 2 days a year. They're always sleeping. They only eat one thing. They can't handle hills or steep declines without falling on their fucking. They claim that they lived side by side with like tigers and shit, and they weren't just all eaten. You know, they have no ability to defend themselves. They eat on their heads. They piss on themselves. They're like dumb. You know, they're always falling out of trees. Like that animal is not a real animal. And then
you think it was like bred by like artists?
I think, you know, the Chinese made the Shih Tzu. You look at this dog, there's no way it was ever a wild Shih Tzu. No, there's never like little dogs, like, you know, out hunting. You know, they know how to
you can be.
Dude, I can selectively breed the shit out of stuff. Like now that I do farming, like I'm such a eugenicist now, like not in the bad way. I'm not looking to kill people or cut.
You're Mendelian. You're Mendelian. I get what you're going.
What does Mendelian mean?
Mendel, like the Mendel. He was. The priest.
Yeah, like Mendel. I thought you meant like Mendel. Yeah,
not Mandalorian. Like, come on.
I actually went to school in Brno where that dude first discovered genetics in Masaryk University in Czech Republic.
Dude, it's amazing. Awesome.
Yeah, no, that dude Czech. I used to a little bit, but it's all gone. That's like
done.
Oh yeah, like Zemslina. Yeah, it's like Sems New Yorku. You know, Velky Moosh. Like I know how to say like big man, and I like ice cream at the time because I had an Italian girlfriend, so I actually learned more Italian at the time. But so yeah, like you can make I think you can really like fuck with species pretty quick. Like I'm doing some shit with chickens that is probably going to get me like some sort of Nuremberg trial. I mean, I'm like,
what are you doing to the chickens?
Well, I'm breeding now. I'm not like doing anything weird, but I'm like, okay, so we're going to take a naked neck and a Polish crescent. We're going to, you know, maybe start a war, get them in debt, show them some pornos. And then we're going to, you know, and so, yeah, you can make a panda bear. No problem.
I mean, it seems like, so it's interesting because, you know, I trying to find pictures of panda bears. You don't until the Tartary Bellicum or whatever, when the Jesuits started talking
Jesuits
about it.
discovered them in the late 1800s. They came to America in 1947, right after the creation of like Israel or something. It's like the timeline's retarded.
So is it just that they, you know, rich people wanted a Chihuahua, so they bred something cute, and then how come they put it in nature instead of just leaving it in a cute like garden zoo?
I got a theory. I think like, and also when you look at so many globalist, like awful companies, it's all panda. It's like World Wildlife Federation, the panda. And then if you look up panda, it's like an acronym for like peace, evolving, you know, gay rights. It's just everything pandas. And then the
World
Panda
Wildlife Foundation is Bernhardt, Prince Bernhardt from the Bilderberg Foundation. The guy who started WEF started Bilderberg, which is too close to Build-A-Bear, I think.
It's close to Build-A-Bear.